Imagine this, you are born into an extremely rich and powerful family. But your mother is nothing more than a lowly servant. The moment she gives birth to you, she dies. And from that moment on, your life turns into pure hell. Your stepmother, who pretends to be kind and noble in public, is in reality a cruel, venomous woman. She tortures you in every possible way. Hunger, beatings, humiliation, and the most terrifying thing of all. She wants you dead. You have many brothers, and every single one of them desires only one thing: the position of family head. And to claim that position, you must die. But the real twist begins here. A man from another world, the son of a powerful family, someone who has served 3 years in the military, someone who has seen real battle, whose hands are already stained with blood, transmigrates into your body. And this man is no hero. He is ruthless, cold-blooded, a man who never hesitates before killing. Whether the enemy is a woman, or even a child. He has only one rule: anyone who dares touch me will not live. And so begins a merciless revenge. One by one, everyone who tormented him, everyone who tried to kill him, everyone who mocked his mother's death. He destroys them in ways so brutal and terrifying that no one could ever imagine. And this is only the beginning. In the future, this man will become a demon king, a being who commands monstrous, bloodthirsty demonic servants, who spread his demonic cult across the world. Now think about it. How thrilling would it be to witness such a story? A main character who shows no mercy? A man who is not destined to become a god, but a devil. So guys, today's manhwa is based on this very dangerous story. Without any delay, let's jump straight into the story. Inside the jolting carriage, Chu Xiu rubbed his throbbing head and slowly lifted his gaze, scanning the unfamiliar surroundings with bleary eyes. The interior of the carriage was lavishly decorated. Precious swords and long, razor-sharp sabers hung along both sides of the walls. This kind of luxury stood in stark contrast to the desolate, barren scenery outside, giving Chu Xiu the eerie sensation that he had stepped into an entirely different world. In his previous life, Chu Xiu's existence had been far from miserable. He was born into wealth. Though his parents passed away early, they left behind an enormous fortune. His life consisted of nothing but indulgence and pleasure. He never had to worry about food or money, spending his days immersed in banquets, alcohol, and excess. His only true passion was reading wuxia novels. Truth be told, Chu Xiu wasn't afraid of death. He had already enjoyed enough glory and luxury, living freely without regrets, far more comfortably than those hardship-bound protagonists in novels. Compared to them, his life had been easy. In fact, Chu Xiu never wanted to become a spoiled playboy. But as the youngest son of the family, born of a concubine, he had no right to involve himself in the family's business affairs. All matters of commerce were handled by his elder brothers, leaving him completely sidelined. Recently, Chu Xiu had become obsessed with a game called Great Jianghu. Its storyline was vast and intricate, and the martial world it portrayed was astonishingly realistic. So realistic that it felt like a fully functional society. He found himself utterly immersed. While waiting for the third major update of Great Jianghu, he spared no expense to purchase a limited edition virtual reality headset. Who could have imagined that the moment he put it on, he would hear a voice? "My dear little brother, your existence has always been a hidden threat. So I sincerely hope you'll have fun in another world." Immediately after that, boom! The VR headset exploded. It blew him to pieces, killing him on the spot. And judging from the current situation, Chu Xiu finally realized he had transmigrated. The only thing he regretted was that his enormous fortune would inevitably fall into the hands of those vile relatives who had orchestrated his assassination. He had clearly presented himself as harmless, a useless wastrel. Yet he was still targeted and killed. Could it be that from the very beginning, his mistake was choosing not to fight for his inheritance? At that moment, memories belonging to this new body came flooding in. Chu Xiu felt a sharp pain stab into his chest. A savage, blood-red killing intent flashed through his eyes, and the aura surrounding him underwent a drastic transformation in an instant. He shook his head lightly. He had finished absorbing the memories of this body. One could even say their souls had completely fused. It turned out he had transmigrated into someone who was also named Chu Xiu, the second son of the Chu family in Kongo. This identity was equally tragic. He was born of a concubine. His mother had only been a servant, and died the moment he was born. Within the family, he held no status whatsoever and was constantly suppressed by his father's legal wife. The original Chu Xiu was weak-willed and reckless by nature. He offended an important guest of the family, and was severely punished, exiled to manage the Chu family's mine in a remote wasteland. The mine was a critical asset, controlling a massive source of income. However, being sent there was anything but a blessing. The miners were all exiled criminals and vicious outlaws. For an ordinary person to manage such a place was no different from walking straight into a tiger's den. There was little chance even bones would be left behind. In truth, Chu Xiu never wanted to go to the mine and wait for death. But he knew very well that he had no chance of competing for the family's inheritance. He was nothing more than a fallen son who had made a mistake. Who would care whether he lived or died? Originally, he was supposed to remain at the mining site for 3 years. However, recently the family had begun selecting an heir. Despite still being under punishment, Chu Xiu was summoned back. At this moment, Chu Xiu was already on his way back to the Chu family estate. He reached out and grasped the long saber hanging on the wall of the carriage. Pulling it from its sheath. Clang! A crisp metallic sound rang out. The gleaming blade reflected the face of a handsome young man. Yet between his brows lingered an unsettling softness, almost effeminate. He didn't like this expression very much. But since things had already come to this, Chu Xiu could only accept his new appearance. Suddenly, Chu Xiu froze. The saber in his hand halted midair. He abruptly realized his true identity. In the storyline of Great Jianghu, when version 3 was released, version 2 had already come to an end, and the final boss of version 2 was none other than Demon Lord Chu Xiu. Demon Lord Chu Xiu was born as the second son of the Chu family in Kongo. After enduring countless injustices and tragedies within his family, his temperament twisted and warped, ultimately causing him to fall into the demonic path. According to the story introduction, Demon Lord Chu Xiu would later unify and command the Kunlun demonic sect. Under his command were the 4 great demon venerables. His reputation shook the entire martial world. Demonic might soared to the heavens. Although he disliked this soft and effeminate appearance, judging from his name, looks, and background, he was undeniably the very Chu Xiu, the ultimate villain from the game. Thinking of this, Chu Xiu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had transmigrated into a future great demon overlord. But the problem was, since when did villains in games ever get a good ending? Was his fate destined to become nothing more than a stepping stone for the protagonist to trample on? Picking up the long saber once more, Chu Xiu lightly flicked the blade with his finger. A cold glint flashed through his eyes as he muttered to himself. Destined to fail, huh? Who can ever predict the twists of fate in this world? Heaven has given me another chance at life. Then even if gods or Buddhas stand in my way, I will kill them without mercy. Whoever wants me dead, I'll send them on their way first. At that moment, the carriage curtain was lifted. A beautiful maid with a graceful, alluring figure stepped inside. She feigned surprise and asked, "Young master, why have you drawn your blade?" Looking at the beautiful maid's flirtatious gaze, the corner of Chu Xiu's mouth curled into a meaningful smile. Her name was Chu Xiu's personal maid. But in truth, she was a spy planted by his eldest brother. On the surface, Chu appeared attentive and devoted. Yet in reality, she had never held this fallen young master in any regard, especially during the journey to the mine. She frequently used Chu Xiu's name to act arrogantly, deliberately provoking the exiled criminals. Her purpose was clear: to kill with a borrowed blade, pushing Chu Xiu straight toward his death. Looking at Chu Xiu bared his teeth in a smile. "A fine blade. I just drew it out to take a look." For some reason, when she saw Chu Xiu smile, Chu suddenly shivered. A chill ran straight down her spine. Still, she didn't think too much of it, and put on a coquettish tone. Young master, traveling like this is exhausting. I heard that the road ahead leads to Kongmang Mountain. Why don't we stop there to rest? We could hunt some wild game and roast it. A dark glint flashed through Chu Xiu's eyes. He let out a faint chuckle. Roasting wild game? I've heard that small paths to remote mountain regions often attract bandits. Su quickly replied. That's just a rumor. The Chu family's carriages have passed through here so many times, nothing ever happened. Besides, she lowered her voice. This servant wants to find a place to bathe. The road is so dusty. It's itchy and uncomfortable. If this were the Su of the past, acting spoiled, Chu Xiu would have agreed without the slightest suspicion. But now, Chu Xiu only stared at her coldly. The strange, ghostly smile still lingered at the corner of his lips, making Su increasingly uneasy. She even had the urge to step back. Suddenly, Chu Xiu reached out and lightly pinched her cheek, lowering his voice. Very well. I'll indulge you. Let's go eat some wild game. After that, Chu Xiu instructed Su to arrange the servants as she always had before. With a casual wave of his hand, he signaled for her to leave. Su was momentarily stunned. She felt that Chu Xiu was extremely unfamiliar today, as if he had become an entirely different person. But when she thought of the generous reward the first madam had promised if the task was completed, Su quickly cast her doubts aside. Watching Su's figure disappear, disdain surfaced in Chu Xiu's eyes. Stupid woman. Inviting me into the mountains to eat wild game. There definitely wouldn't be any wild game in that forest. There would only be a deadly trap waiting for him. Chu Xiu knew this clearly, not because he was exceptionally clever, but because he already knew the plot. Even if the details differed from reality, the major events could not be wrong. Right here at Kongmang Mountain, an enormous opportunity was waiting for him. Reborn in this life, my true advantage isn't my future identity as a demon king. It's my familiarity with the game's storyline. At this moment, the story had only just begun. Stage 1. There were still nearly 20 years before the plot of version 3 would unfold. The official story was still far away, yet I already know every major and minor event that will occur in this world over the next 20 years. If I remember correctly. At this time, in Yuanao Town, a great opportunity is waiting for me. An opportunity that will change my destiny from this very moment. The story continued in Yuanao Town, an ancient yet bustling settlement where Chu Xiu searched for a fateful opportunity that could change his life forever. Traveling alongside him was his personal maid, Su. To the young woman, this town was nothing special, nowhere near the splendor and prosperity of Tongchao Prefecture. She complained endlessly, clearly dissatisfied with the dusty streets and crude surroundings. Chu Xiu ignored her entirely. Instead, he curled his lips into a faint smile, his gaze locked onto a specific location ahead. He had found his true objective, the mystery box shop. Without hesitation, Chu Xiu strode toward the storefront. Su followed behind, her brows furrowed, suspicion lingering in her eyes. Mystery boxes were a unique specialty of the Great Jianghu world. Legend said that 10,000 years ago, this world suffered a terrifying heavenly tribulation. During that apocalyptic calamity, countless martial sects were wiped out overnight. Before disaster struck, masters of formation arts created items known as mystery boxes, containers designed to store treasures, cultivation manuals, weapons, and inheritances, ensuring they would survive even if their sects were annihilated. The materials and sizes of mystery boxes varied greatly. The better the material, the stronger the formation seals within, and the more precious the items hidden inside. After the heavenly tribulation, countless mystery boxes were scattered across the world and passed down through generations. However, because the methods of crafting them had long been lost, any mystery box would be completely destroyed once opened. Thus, they became limited edition blind boxes. Their allure was irresistible. Occasionally, someone would uncover a heaven-defying opportunity, or a peerless treasure. But more often than not, the box would be empty, or contain nothing but useless junk. Like gambling. Everything depended on luck. Carrying the knowledge of his previous life, Chu Xiu stepped into the mystery box shop without the slightest hesitation. He glanced around and noticed how deserted the place was. "Why is this the only mystery box shop in Yuanbao town?" Chu Xiu asked calmly. "Yet there isn't a single customer?" The shopkeeper sighed and explained. "Even the cheapest mystery box costs 10 taels of silver. Ordinary townsfolk could never afford that." The moment he realized Chu Xiu might actually be a customer, the shopkeeper's eyes lit up. His tone changed instantly. "Of course, young master, that's different for someone like you," he said enthusiastically. "All these mystery boxes were excavated from the southern barbarian mountains. Their prices are extremely reasonable." Chu Xiu nodded slightly. "I've just arrived in this world," he thought. "What I need most right now is a powerful cultivation technique." Although this body came from the Chu family of Tongchao, the original owner had never been valued. With no resources and no guidance, he had remained stuck at the very bottom of martial cultivation. The path of martial cultivation began with 3 foundational realms. The first was the body-tempering realm, where one unblocked meridians and strengthened bones and muscles, gaining brute physical strength. 9 out of 10 martial artists in Jianghu never advanced beyond this stage. Above it were the blood condensation realm and the Shin intention realm. Only those who reached these levels could be considered true martial masters. Chu Xiu clearly remembered that in the game, around this exact period, a mere household servant had purchased an ordinary mystery box in Yuanbao town. Inside it, a supreme cultivation technique. That servant later rose to become a grand master, shaking the martial world. Chu Xiu was certain. This is my destined opportunity. Just then, the door burst open. A gorgeously dressed man with an arrogant, insolent expression strode in loudly. "Shopkeeper! Bring me 2 mystery boxes!" The shopkeeper recognized him immediately. Li Gang, a lackey of the Li family. Trying to be helpful, the shopkeeper advised him. "Li Gang, this is just gambling. Young Master Li values you highly right now. Save your money and bribe the steward instead. You might earn a promotion." Li Gang sneered. "Even as a steward, I'd still be a servant for life. I'd rather gamble. If I open a peerless divine art, I'll soar to the heavens in a single step." The shopkeeper sighed helplessly. Peerless divine arts aren't so easily obtained. Still, he handed Li Gang 2 mystery boxes. One was a purple crystal sphere. The other, a golden box. Just as Li Gang reached out, another hand blocked his way. "Wait," Chu Xiu said coldly. "I want to buy all the mystery boxes here." With the memories of a gamer, Chu Xiu instantly recognized Li Gang. This man was the exact household servant who, in the original storyline, would obtain the supreme opportunity in Yuanbao town. That meant the strongest cultivation technique was hidden inside one of those 2 boxes. Li Gang spun around in fury. "Young master! I was the one who chose them first." The shopkeeper froze, trapped between 2 people he couldn't afford to offend. Facing Li Gang's rage, Chu Xiu simply asked in a calm, chilling voice. "Now that I say I want everything, do you have objections?" Overwhelmed by Chu Xiu's imposing presence, Li Gang hurriedly tried to intimidate him. "Don't think you can bully me just because I'm a servant. I belong to the Li family, one of the 3 great families of Tongchao Prefecture." Chu Xiu laughed mockingly. "Didn't you just say you didn't want to spend your life as a servant?" He stepped forward slightly, his voice dripping with contempt. "And now, when things turn against you, you borrow the Li family's name to threaten others? How laughable! You're nothing but a servant," Chu Xiu continued coldly. "Yet you dare use the Li family to suppress me? How ignorant!" Li Gang's eyes burned with rage. Chu Xiu casually raised his hand. Immediately, his attendants moved in. Li Gang's heart sank. With his mere body-tempering realm cultivation, there was no way he could fight them all. Let's talk," he stammered. "We can discuss this calmly." Chu Xiu sneered inwardly. So weak-willed. No wonder that after becoming a hegemon, he turned into a petty villain who committed every imaginable evil. This time, You won't get that chance. Take everything, Chu Xiu ordered coldly. Under Chu Xiu's stunned gaze, and Li Gang's utter helplessness, every mystery box in the shop was swept clean. Watching them being carried away, Li Gang felt an unbearable pain in his chest. Beyond humiliation, it felt as if something irreplaceable had been stolen from him. He collapsed to his knees, staring at Chu Xiu's retreating figure, teeth grinding. This isn't over, he swore. Back at his lodgings, Chu Xiu began the next phase. He knew from the game that certain treasures required a special trigger. He took out a small knife and let a single drop of blood fall onto the purple crystal sphere. The instant the blood touched it, boom! Violent purple energy erupted. Chu Xiu was blasted backward as the crystal activated. His guess was correct. The shell shattered, revealing a glowing green jade slip. A triumphant smile spread across Chu Xiu's face. This is it. As he absorbed the contents, a torrent of energy surged around him. This was a Taoist classic, an innate skill, a supreme cultivation method. It could cultivate innate true qi, cure all diseases, regulate deficiencies, and ensure one's true qi would never decay. No wonder Li Gang rose so high in the original story. Normal cultivation techniques were divided into 9 revolutions. The first 3 were trash, barely enough for small sections. The middle 3 were treasures capable of founding sections. The last 3 were exceedingly rare, possessed only by great sections. Above the 9th, 2 legendary realms. This innate skill ignored age, cleansed the body, and rebuilt foundations. Perfect for me. Confidence flooded Chu Xiu's heart. And to his surprise, the jade slip also contained a bonus martial art. Azure Dragon in the sleeve. The blade is hidden. The intent concealed. One strike. Like a dragon emerging from the sea. At least a second revolution technique. Unexpected joy. Then, crash! A thunderous noise erupted downstairs. Where is Chu Xiu? You dare steal from my Li family? Get out here! Li Tong had arrived. A massive man, 7 masterly, stormed in with his thugs, smashing furniture. Li Gang pointed upstairs. That's him. Chu Xiu appeared calmly, looking down at them. And if I refuse? He asked indifferently. Threats followed. Chu Xiu smiled. Then, power erupted. Green energy flooded the room. Pressure crushed down like a mountain. Azure Dragon in the sleeve, unleashed. A roaring dragon of energy manifested. Silence. Chu Xiu landed lightly, blade raised, eyes glowing purple. I hate being threatened the most. He looked around. Anyone else? Hidden behind the door, Qing Su witnessed Chu Xiu killing someone with her own eyes. Terror seized her heart instantly. She never would have imagined that the man rumored to be weak, timid, and cowardly would kill without the slightest hesitation. Blood splattered across the floor. Li Tong stared at Chu Xiu, his face drained of all color. Why you actually dare? Before he could finish his sentence, Chu Xiu had already yanked the dagger out of the guard's chest and charged straight toward him. Li Tong instinctively raised his arms to block. But how could he possibly stop Chu Xiu? Seeing the blade about to take his life, Li Tong's legs went weak. In that moment, he was certain. I'm going to die. Yet. The dagger stopped. Right at his throat. The cold, blood-stained blade pressed lightly against his neck. Recalling Chu Xiu's ruthlessness just moments earlier, Li Tong's legs began trembling uncontrollably. Chu Xiu looked at him coldly. Trash of your caliber, he said darkly. And you still dare come looking for trouble with me? You really don't know your limits. It's true. I, Chu Xiu, am not favored in the Chu family. I'm only the son of a concubine, but the head of the Chu family is still my father. And what are you? A worthless playbill. Mediocre martial talent. Living off family scraps. Who gave you the courage to bring people here and provoke me? He leaned closer, voice icy. Believe it or not. Even if I kill you right here, the worst I'll get is a light punishment. Li Tong shuddered violently, cold sweat soaking his clothes. Only now did he understand. The rumors were lies. This man was not weak. He was terrifying. Chu Xiu withdrew the dagger and calmly handed the hilt to Li Tong. "Take it." Li Tong froze. "I said," Chu Xiu repeated, eyes sharp. "Take the dagger." Under that gaze, Li Tong trembled as he grabbed it. Suddenly, Chu Xiu seized Li Tong's wrist and forced the blade toward his own chest. His eyes turned bloodshot. "Didn't you come here to cause me trouble? The dagger's in your hand now. I'll give you a chance. Kill me." The room fell into dead silence. Li Tong and his subordinates stood there in shock, unable to believe what they were seeing. Li Tong shook his head frantically. How could he dare? Chu Xiu could kill him and walk away. But if he killed Chu Xiu, his entire family would be wiped out. Seeing his hesitation, Chu Xiu tightened his grip, pressing the blade harder against his chest. "I said, kill me!" Clang! The dagger fell to the ground. Li Tong's hands trembled so violently he couldn't even hold it. I don't dare. I was wrong." A mocking smile appeared on Chu Xiu's face. He reached out and patted Li Tong's cheek. "Useless trash. I gave you a chance, and you still didn't dare take it. You don't even dare kill someone while holding a blade. Who gave you the guts to provoke me?" Li Tong felt shame and fury burn through him, but he didn't dare speak. He turned and fled toward the door in panic. Behind him, Chu trembled violently. "Is this really the Chu Xiu I once knew?" The Li family hurriedly carried the corpse away. Only after reaching the inn's main hall did Li Gang cautiously approach. "Seventh Master." Before he could finish, bang! Li Tong slammed a punch into his face. "Damn it!" Li Tong roared. "This is all your fault, you idiot! You dragged me into this mess. Remember this, even if the third young master protects you, once I return to the Li family, I'll make sure you learn what real pain is." Night fell. The scene shifted to an ancient, time-worn structure bathed in moonlight. A towering mountain loomed in the distance, silent and oppressive. A man dressed in plain purple stepped forward and cupped his fists respectfully. "Young master, may I ask why you summoned me so late?" Chu Xiu studied him. This man was Gao Bai. He had entered the Chu family over 10 years ago. A nameless laborer. Average talent. Barely body-tempering realm. But he was honest, Chu Xiu asked coldly. "Gao Bai, I was falsely accused and exiled to the southern mines. Because of me, you were dragged along. Do you resent me?" Gao Bai immediately replied. "Never. To serve the second young master is my honor." Chu Xiu pressed on. "You've served the Chu family for over 10 years. 2 taels of silver a month. Others became stewards and managers. You truly feel no resentment?" Gao Bai lowered his head. "I am foolish and talentless. This is already enough." Chu Xiu laughed softly. "No. You are not satisfied. Even a dog fed meat for 10 years would never want to eat scraps again. Humans are no different." He placed a hand on Gao Bai's shoulder. "You followed me through hardship. In the future you'll share glory with me too." Gao Bai's eyes ignited. "This subordinate understands." Chu Xiu shook his head. "No. You don't. Some things are decided by fate. Others by effort. If I want to rise, I must wager my life." A sinister smile spread across his face. "In the past, you didn't even have the chance to gamble. Now I'll give you one. Go to Fallen Degeneracy Mountain outside Yuanbao town. Deliver this letter to the bandit leader. Do it well. 100 taels of silver. From that day on, you'll be my trusted aide." Gao Bai struggled internally. "If I refuse, my life will never change." Finally, he clenched his fists. "I obey." "Good." Chu Xiu handed him the sealed letter. "No mistakes." As Gao Bai vanished into the darkness, Chu Xiu's eyes turned cold. "Su, since you want me dead, don't blame me for being ruthless." Early the next morning, Chu Xiu's convoy departed. Inside the carriage, Chu Xiu asked casually, "Young master, where is Gao Bai?" "He went ahead to Tongchao Prefecture to report our arrival." A vicious smile crept across Chu Xiu's face. "Arriving soon?" "No. You won't arrive at all." Suddenly, Chu Xiu leaned close. "Chu Xiu," he whispered, smiling strangely, "do you think we'll meet bandits on the road?" Her heart skipped. "Why, young master, don't say such unlucky things." Chu Xiu chuckled. "The heavens bring storms. People bring calamity." At that moment, "Stop right there!" A wave of killing intent surged in. Chu Xiu looked out calmly. "See? Human calamity has arrived." The convoy was blocked on a narrow forest path. Bandits. Their leader sat arrogantly on a tree branch. Qishan. Red hair. Scarred chest. Massive saber. "What are you waiting for?" he roared. "Get down here!" Chu Xiu stepped out unhurriedly. "If you want silver, I have thousands of taels." Qishan sneered. "Your life's worth more." "What if I want that instead?" Chu Xiu smiled faintly. "Name your price." Qishan laughed cruelly. "I keep my word." Hidden in the carriage, Chu Xiu smiled triumphantly. "This time, you're dead." Chu Xiu's smile vanished. "If I can't buy my life, I'll buy yours instead." He attacked. Qishan roared and swung. Metal clashed. Chu Xiu retreated, analyzing calmly. No inner energy. Pure brute force. He waited. Dodged. Endured. When Qishan lost control, the opening appeared. Emerald light erupted. Divine dragon sweeping its tail. The dagger flashed. Blood sprayed. The tide turned. Qishan was sent flying. His men panicked. "How is this possible?" Chu Xiu wiped his blade. "What a pity!" he muttered. "Not enough practice." Enraged, Qishan roared. "Kill them all!" Just then, another voice rang out. "You killing people, did you ask my permission?" A man stepped forward grinning. Manhwa. "Well, well," he laughed. "Looks like a big deal. Mind if I take a share?" Chu Xiu peeked out from the carriage window, her heart skipping a beat. Why is there another group of bandits? Did second concubine arrange even more people? Before she could think further, a second wave of bandits emerged from the road ahead, advancing aggressively. Chu Xiu narrowed his eyes as he looked toward them. Is that man also a bandit? The moment Qishan recognized the newcomer, his expression changed drastically. He clenched his teeth. "Manhwa!" Qishan growled. "This is my turf." "What the hell do you want?" Manhwa laughed coldly. "What do I want?" "To fuck you up, of course. You've snatched my business not once or twice. This time, I'm sending you straight to meet the King of Hell." Without wasting another second, Manhwa attacked. His sword flashed through the air like lightning. Qishan hurriedly raised his own blade to block, but it was useless. In the very next moment, clang! Qishan's sword was knocked cleanly into the air. A deep gash opened on his arm, blood spraying as he stumbled back in shock. He stared at his injured hand, his face turning pale. Bad luck. A wise man doesn't fight when the odds are against him. Run. Now! But it was already too late. Manhwa smiled like a demon. Too late. Qishan turned to flee. Swish. Manhwa's blade cut down mercilessly. Qishan's body split in two and collapsed to the ground. Dead. The moment his subordinates saw their boss killed, they panicked and tried to run. Manhwa coldly ordered, "Kill them all." As his men chased the fleeing bandits, Chu Xiu stood quietly at the back, observing everything. Judging by this yellow-faced man's moves, he's completely different from that unorthodox bandit leader. This man is a real martial artist, an orthodox one. Chu Xiu stepped forward and cupped his fists politely. "Thank you for the help, good sir." Manhwa turned around, smiling faintly. "Kid, aren't you afraid I'll double-cross you?" At that moment, Chu Xiu's servant ran over in relief. "Young master! Glad we made it." This is Chief Ma of Shangmang Mountain, whom you ordered this servant to find. Chu Xiu nodded calmly. Chief Ma is a smart man. Since you received my letter, you should already know. Killing me will get you, at most, a few thousand taels of silver. But if you don't kill me, you'll get that batch of refined ore I promised. You can replace all that scrap copper and rotten iron your men are using. The choice should be obvious. Manhwa fell silent. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu thought coldly. Second concubine is vicious. She won't show mercy, even to an illegitimate son like me who barely has a chance to inherit. From the moment Chu Xiu suggested taking the small path, I knew. She bribed bandits, borrowing a knife to kill a man. If she can spend money to kill me, then I can use bandits to protect me. Manhwa finally spoke. You didn't lie to me? Those ores are extremely important to the Chu family. You're really willing to give them up? Chu Xiu replied indifferently. Someone in the Chu family wants me dead. Why should I care about their supplies? He took out a token. This is my warrant. Use it to purchase the ore at a low price. Be quick, while I'm still the steward. Manhwa laughed. You big families really love your dirty laundry. But you, kid, you're decisive. If there are deals like this in the future, come find me. I, Manhwa, am very efficient at killing. I'll even give you a discount for acquaintances. Satisfied, Manhwa left with his men. Chu Xiu watched from behind, eyes cold. Qilian, a bandit with martial arts heritage. I know who he is. Gao Bei got lucky, he actually hired someone with a background. Chu Xiu then looked toward the carriage. Inside, Chu Xiu was trembling violently, sweat pouring down her forehead. Why is it like this? Isn't Chu Xiu trash? How did he so easily seriously injure that bandit leader? Chu Xiu entered the carriage. The moment he stepped in, Chu Xiu collapsed to her knees, acting pitiful. Young master, were the bandits all repelled? Chu Xiu chuckled softly. Of course. They were all repelled. This slut is still pretending. He stepped closer, smiling faintly. I didn't die. You're very disappointed, aren't you? Why, young master is joking. Chu Xiu stammered. It's a good thing the bandits were repelled. How could this servant be disappointed? Snap. Chu Xiu grabbed her by the throat. His voice turned ice cold. Do you really take me for an idiot? Speak, how much silver did my good second mother spend to hire these bandits? Otherwise die. Chu Xiu couldn't breathe. Her face turned purple. I'll speak. I'll say everything. 10,000 taels of silver. Chu Xiu released her. 10,000 taels. What a generous hand. Does my second mother really hate me that much? Chu Xiu cried. Second concubine said you stubbornly supported eldest young master, and would ruin things sooner or later. She also won over fourth young master recently, so she wanted to eliminate future trouble. Chu Xiu thought. Chu Zongguang has 3 wives and 4 sons. I'm an illegitimate son. My chance of inheriting is almost 0. In my past life, I chose the eldest son early, but was abandoned once I was no longer useful. This time, I won't repeat that mistake. I will fight for the position of Chu family heir. He looked down at Chu Xiu. Any evidence of second mother colluding with the bandits? She shook her head desperately. She sent a confidant directly. No evidence was left. She grabbed Chu Xiu's leg. Young master, I've said everything. Please spare my life. Chu Xiu smiled. Don't worry, I don't kill women. Chu Xiu felt relief. Scared me to death. Crack. Chu Xiu snapped her neck in one clean motion. I lied, he said coldly. You actually believe that? So naive, yet you still tried to be a spy. 7 days later. Wei Commandery. Tongzhou Prefecture. Chu family. Chu Xiu looked out from the carriage. Second concubine stepped out to greet him. Second concubine, daughter of Ding Kaishan, master of Kaishan Martial Arts Hall. Ruthless. Vicious. He stepped down quickly and greeted her warmly. Greetings, second mother. It's been a year, you've become even younger. Inside, second concubine was shocked. How did Chu Xiu come back alive? Did Chu Xiu fail? She asked sternly. Where is your maid, Chu Xiu? Chu Xiu sighed. Her body was too weak. I accidentally played her to death. Why doesn't second mother gift me another one? Second concubine's heart tightened. Chu Xiu died? Does he know, or not? This Chu Xiu feels different, she thought. Since you're back, she said coldly. Go in. The master and everyone are waiting. Inside the hall, Chu Zongguang sat on the throne. Chu Xiu bowed. Greetings, father. Uncles. First mother. Second mother. Third mother. Chu Zongguang opened one eye. You've returned. This is Chu Zongguang, Xiantian realm. Over 20 years without advancing a step, Chu Zongguang spoke calmly. The Chu family has been rooted in Tongzhou for over 20 years. The children have grown. It is time to decide the family heir. First wife immediately said. Why decide? Chu Kai is the legitimate eldest son and the strongest. Of course, he should inherit. Second concubine sneered. Big sister, that's not right. This isn't royalty. The master decides. Third wife lowered her head. This servant knows nothing. Whatever the master decides. Chu Zongguang slammed his hand. Enough. Chu Kai. Chu Xiu. Chu Xing. Chu Shang. You each manage part of the family business. 1 year. Whoever makes the greatest progress will become the Chu family heir. Do you all agree? After the declaration was made, the atmosphere in the Chu family's grand hall grew suffocatingly silent. Patriarch Chu Zongguang sat high above, his presence alone radiating unquestionable authority. Below him, the wives and children stood in silence, each secretly calculating their next move in the inevitable battle for succession. Chu Xiu observed everything with cold detachment. Though the so-called elders of the Chu family carried the title of seniority, in truth, they were nothing more than chess pieces. Not a single one of them dared to utter a word against Chu Zongguang's will. Absolute power still rested firmly in the hands of the man seated at the very top. On one side stood the first madam and her eldest son, Chu Kai. Both were arrogant by nature, disdainful of restraint, and had even dared to confront the patriarch head-on more than once. What they failed to realize was that such insolence only deepened Chu Zongguang's disgust toward them. The second madam posed an entirely different kind of threat, calculating, ruthless, and vicious in her methods. She had long coveted the position of heir for her own son. Unfortunately, Chu Shang was a man of brute courage with no talent for scheming, utterly incapable of concealing his ambitions. Among them all, the third madam was the most shrewd. On the surface, she appeared gentle and seemingly indifferent to power struggles. Yet it was precisely this carefully crafted facade of virtue that earned the patriarch's favor, allowing her son to become the most cherished child in the household. Having seen through the true intentions of every single person present, Chu Xiu nevertheless found Chu Zongguang the most puzzling of all. Though the patriarch had loudly proclaimed the selection of a successor, his eyes remained cold and detached, as if he truly did not care about the final outcome. At that moment, the first madam spoke up in opposition. She argued that a martial aristocratic family like the Chu clan should choose its successor based on genuine strength. As she spoke, she turned toward Chu Xiu with a mocking gaze and asked, Chu Xiu, don't you think what I'm saying makes sense? Inwardly, the first madam calculated coldly. As long as Chu Xiu sided with her and created a balance of power, even if the patriarch favored someone else, he would not be able to act too blatantly. This piece on the chessboard, she was determined to claim it. Yet to everyone's surprise, Chu Xiu merely clasped his hands and bowed calmly toward Chu Zongguang. Father must have his own reasons for doing this. This son has no objections. The moment those words fell, the atmosphere in the hall twisted strangely. The second madam stared in disbelief. How could the man she had secretly ordered assassinated stand here so calmly, as if nothing had ever happened? Meanwhile, the first madam burned with fury. This chess piece had dared to defy her will. Chu Kai finally lost his patience. He shouted that Chu Xiu was weak and spineless, demanding to know whether he even understood what he was saying. He gave him one last chance to state his true thoughts. What Chu Kai did not know was that behind that obedient exterior lurked a monster, silently waiting for the moment to erupt. Chu Xiu responded softly, merely reminding his elder brother that he was only following their father's wishes. With a thunderous slam of his palm, Chu Zongguang ended the pointless quarrel. The decision had already been made. Anyone who dared oppose it would be openly challenging the patriarch's authority. Under the crushing weight of his fury, the entire hall fell into absolute silence. But Chu Xiu was not finished. With an air of indifference, he calmly proposed that the patriarch grant him additional business assets to manage. He reasoned that the Nanshan mine was far too insignificant for him to earn merit or properly demonstrate his capabilities in front of everyone present. Chu Zongguang narrowed his eyes suspiciously. The son who had remained silent for so many years had finally begun to reveal his ambition. That piercing gaze seemed intent on seeing straight through Chu Xiu's thoughts. The wives were all stunned. So the display of weakness earlier had merely been an act. His true objective was to insert himself directly into the core industries of the Chu family. At that moment, Steward Lu spoke up with thinly veiled ridicule. He accused Chu Xiu of overstepping his bounds and sneered that all he needed to do was properly manage that single mine. For a mere servant to openly humiliate a young master in the Grand Hall, this alone was proof of just how low Chu Xiu's status had once been within the family. Yet Chu Xiu did not grow angry. He simply raised a finger and lightly beckoned, signaling for Steward Lu to step closer. That calm expression concealed a chilling killing intent, one that no one present had yet noticed. Steward Lu maintained his arrogant expression. As he walked closer, he sneered provocatively, assuming that since he had been standing too far away, Chu Xiu wanted him to come closer so he could hear those words more clearly. Crack! A dull, bone-shattering sound rang out. In the blink of an eye, Chu Xiu unleashed a brutal strike. The steward never had time to react. Fresh blood sprayed violently across the grand hall. Moments ago, the domineering steward now lay collapsed on the floor, barely clinging to life. Chu Xiu's terrifying speed and merciless precision froze everyone in place. Terror was etched across their faces. He did not stop there. With icy indifference, Chu Xiu stomped down hard on the wretched man's body. This was not an act of impulse, it was a declaration. A new order was being established. Anyone who dared show him disrespect would pay a heavy price. From the wives to the brothers, the entire Chu family stared in disbelief, unable to accept what they had just witnessed. A deathly silence swallowed the grand hall. The second madam trembled uncontrollably, fear flooding her heart. She wondered whether Chu Xiu had truly gone mad, or if this was the real monster that had been hiding in plain sight all along. With a furious slam of his palm, Chu Zongguang rose to his feet. Rage erupted like a violent storm as he roared, demanding to know what Chu Xiu thought he was doing, daring to commit such ruthless violence in front of the patriarch and so many senior members of the clan. Chu Xiu withdrew his hand and bowed calmly in apology. Yet his words were razor-sharp. He asserted that for a servant to interrupt his master's words was an act of extreme insolence, and that this punishment was merely a necessary measure to restore discipline and safeguard the dignity of the Chu family. Chu Xiu looked down at the man crawling on the floor, his gaze devoid of even a trace of pity. In a cold voice, he added that if someone like this were at the Nanshan mine, he would have long since been discarded and used as a sky lantern. His father might be merciful, but to Chu Xiu, a servant's disrespect was utterly unforgivable. Witnessing his son's brutality, yet undeniable logic, Chu Zongguang could not help but fall into contemplation. Deep down, he had to admit that Chu Xiu was right. Regardless of whose man the steward was, he was still nothing more than a servant. His own prolonged seclusion had allowed these subordinates to forget their place and disregard the hierarchy within the household. Nevertheless, in order to preserve the family's public dignity, Chu Zongguang chose to close the matter. He reminded everyone that this was the Chu family estate, not the Nanshan mine, and ordered that Chu Xiu be fined 3 months of his stipend to cover the steward's medical treatment, a light, symbolic punishment meant only as a warning. Chu Xiu lowered his head and calmly accepted the order. But he did not stop there. With calculated composure, he posed a pointed question to his father. Was he truly expected to guard that remote mine forever? If so, what meaning did this grand gathering to choose a successor even hold for him? Chu Zongguang fell silent, stroking his chin thoughtfully. Though he had never intended to let Chu Xiu inherit the family assets, standing before the entire clan, he understood that he could not treat a son who had just demonstrated such terrifying capability with blatant unfairness. The first madam, standing nearby, could no longer hide her agitation. She spoke sharply, accusing Chu Xiu of openly assaulting someone in the Grand Hall as a direct challenge to the patriarch's authority, insisting that the matter could not simply be brushed aside. However, Chu Zongguang had already reached his decision. He roared back, asking whether she expected Chu Xiu to pay with his life for the sake of a mere steward. Then he declared that once the merchant caravan from the Yan Kingdom returned, all managerial authority over it would be handed to Chu Xiu. Many thanks, father. Chu Xiu clasped his hands in salute, a faint, meaningful smile flickering across his lips. He had achieved the first objective of his plan, to reclaim his standing and expand his influence within the Chu family. Inwardly, Chu Xiu mocked the foolishness of the first madam and her son, Chu Kai. Born into a great clan, yet incapable of controlling their emotions, they always chose to clash head-on with Chu Zongguang. To him, a man so much older yet still scrambling to compete with his younger siblings for the position of heir was nothing more than a useless waste. The family meeting ended beneath a suffocating atmosphere. With a wave of his hand, Chu Zongguang dismissed everyone and stepped out of the grand hall. The second madam could not stop watching Chu Xiu's retreating figure. She had once believed her greatest enemies were only the first madam and her son. Never had she imagined that the once useless son of a lowly concubine would now possess such terrifying ambition and presence. The scene shifted to the second madam's private residence, a luxurious compound shrouded in silence, where sinister schemes were discussed behind closed doors. Inside the room, Chu Xiang could not hide his panic. He questioned his mother anxiously, asking why the assassins she had sent had failed, and how Chu Xiu had managed to survive and return alive. The second madam admitted bitterly that she had been careless. She had never expected that after just 1 year at the Nanshan mine, Chu Xiu would undergo such a drastic transformation. However, she quickly reassured her son. The Chu family, she insisted, would never allow a man who dared to strike in front of the patriarch, someone like Chu Xiu, to inherit the clan. Then she revealed her trump card. The managers within the merchant caravan assigned to Chu Xiu were all her people. They would ensure that he tasted utter failure. A vicious smile spread across her face. With the enormous sums she had spent to buy loyalty, she was confident that even if Chu Xiu held the title of caravan overseer, he would soon realize that he could not command a single subordinate. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu led Gao Bei straight toward the clan's medicine pavilion, the most important source of cultivation resources for the Chu family's descendants. Along the way, Gao Bei voiced his concern, asking whether the people in the pavilion would truly hand over the cultivation resources that had long been monopolized by the eldest young master. Chu Xiu replied indifferently that those old rules would have to change, starting today. Upon entering the medicine pavilion, the fat Steward Xiu, greeted them with forced hospitality. With mocking courtesy, he referred to Chu Xiu as a distinguished guest, remarking that the second young master had never set foot here before and asking what important matter had brought him today. Gao Bei immediately demanded that he hand over all cultivation resources allocated to Chu Xiu over the past year. Hearing this, Steward Xiu's expression changed instantly. He let out a scornful laugh, saying the second young master must be joking. Chu Xiu's resources, he claimed, had always been collected by the eldest young master on his behalf. Why come demanding them now? His contempt was so blatant that he did not even attempt to hide it. Chu Xiu's gaze hardened. He coldly asked who had given him permission to hand over Chu Xiu's resources to someone else. When neither Chu Xiu nor Chu Zhongguan had ever authorized such a thing, the fat steward remained stubborn, provoking him further and telling him to take the matter up with the eldest young master instead. Very good, Chu Xiu said softly. Suddenly, his eyes glowed with a vivid crimson light, a clear sign that a violent storm was about to descend. His patience had been completely exhausted. Smack! A thunderous slap sent Steward Xiu flying. But the one who struck was not Chu Xiu. It was a breathless middle-aged man who had rushed in, the chief steward of the medicine pavilion, who had already witnessed Chu Xiu's terrifying authority earlier and knew exactly what kind of monster now stood before him. The chief steward erupted in fury. He viciously berated his idiotic subordinate, cursing him for daring to spout nonsense in front of the second young master. He stomped down hard on the fat steward's body and glared at him coldly, demanding to know whether he still understood the hierarchy between superiors and subordinates. The fat man could only groan in agony. He could not comprehend why his superior had reacted so violently. He tried to open his mouth to explain himself, but the chief steward immediately shouted him into silence. In front of Chu Xiu, the senior steward did not dare delay even a moment in disciplining his underling. He was desperate to earn the young master's forgiveness. Turning toward Chu Xiu, the chief steward instantly changed his tone. With utmost respect, he begged Chu Xiu to be magnanimous toward this ignorant lackey. He assured him that all cultivation resources had been properly stored and personally presented a bottle of top-grade blood-name pills as compensation. Chu Xiu accepted the bottle coldly. His response was short and sharp. "There will not be a next time." Only after watching Chu Xiu and Gao Bei leave did the chief steward of the medicine pavilion finally dare to breathe again. The oppressive pressure from the second young master's terrifying presence had been overwhelming. Even a seasoned veteran like him was drenched in cold sweat. Finally, that monster is gone. The fat steward remained in shock. Clutching his burning cheek, he asked bitterly why the chief steward had struck him so harshly while treating that useless young master with such respect. The chief steward replied coldly that it had been for his own good, otherwise he would already be dead. He then revealed the truth. Just moments earlier, Chu Xiu had beaten Steward Liu, one of the first madam's people, to the brink of death right in the middle of the grand hall. Upon hearing that even Steward Liu had nearly been beaten to death, the fat steward began trembling violently. His face drained of all color. The chief steward issued a stern warning. From this day forward, he must treat the second young master with more respect than any other young master in the estate. There was one thing he needed to carve into his bones. Chu Xiu was no longer the weak and useless second young master of the past. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu walked away with steady, confident strides. A faint, meaningful smile lingered on his lips as fear and reverence followed him wherever he went. With the cultivation resources reclaimed and his authority firmly established, the balance of power within the Chu family had officially begun to tilt, entirely according to his will. This part begins, and we see Chu Xiu's residence. Inside the room, Chu Xiu is sitting calmly in his chair, while his servant stands respectfully beside him. The servant speaks with admiration in his voice. "Young master, you were truly imposing just now. Even the grand steward of the pharmacy was so polite to you." Chu Xiu replies indifferently, his tone cold and steady. "That wasn't politeness. That was all. Evil cuts both ways. If you cannot be so kind that everyone respects you, then you must be so evil that everyone fears you." The servant scratches his head awkwardly and says, "I understand." Chu Xiu glances at him and says flatly, "Of course you don't. Otherwise you wouldn't have muddled along for so many years without even becoming a steward. Go find some wooden stakes and set them up in the courtyard. I want to practice my blade." After that, Chu Xiu's expression turns serious as he begins to think. The path of martial Tao is nothing more than talent, perseverance, opportunity, and comprehension. My talent is average. My comprehension is unknown. Opportunities require strength to seize. Therefore, for now, I can only put effort into perseverance. He continues calculating in his mind. 2 packs of birki powder per month. The Grand Steward gave 30 packs. 3 blood condensation pills per year. He gave 10, and of high quality. He certainly knows how to handle matters. Bjerki powder is simple to concoct. It replenishes qi and strengthens the body, aiding cultivation. It is perfect for cultivating the Xiantian Gong. After that, Chu Xiu sits in his room and begins cultivating. As he circulates his energy, he thinks calmly. Taoist cultivation methods are moderate and peaceful. The more one cultivates, the more abundant one's energy becomes. In this aspect, it far surpasses other cultivation methods. An entire day passes while he remains immersed in cultivation. Finally, he slowly opens his eyes. A faint smile appears on his face. After a night of cultivation, the miraculous meridians run automatically, and the 8 veins are fully connected. My body already possesses the true qi of the Xiantian Gong. The results are not bad. Next, is practicing the blade. He walks into the courtyard to train. Wooden stakes stand firmly planted all around. He thinks to himself, my current blue dragon inside the sleeve only has the blade form but lacks the blade intent. So I must practice the most basic blade swings repeatedly. Without hesitation, he draws his blade. In one swift motion, his sword flashes like lightning. Slash! In a single strike, every wooden stake standing in the courtyard is cut cleanly and falls to the ground at once. At that moment, his servant arrives, carrying tea. Young master, I heard some news. The stewards leading the caravan that the master assigned to you are all the second concubine's people. They say that when the caravan returns, they intend to give you a display of severity to humble you. Chu Xiu calmly sheathes his sword. Did the other side spread this matter so blatantly? Yes, the servant replies. It was spread by one of the second concubine's maidservants. Chu Xiu's eyes turn cold as he thinks inwardly. That mother and son really don't take me seriously. What a pity, you all thought wrong. With me, people who do not listen are no different from dead people. He turns around and says, Gao Bei, come with me to Shangmang Mountain tomorrow morning. We are going to find that bandit leader Manhwa. Hearing this, Gao Bei's face turns pale with fear, but Chu Xiu smiles faintly. What are you afraid of? Bandits don't eat people. Moreover, he will become our greatest assistance. The next scene shifts to a meeting with the bandits. Chu Xiu sits calmly in a chair. Across from him stands the bandit leader, Chieftain Ma, surrounded by his men. Chu Xiu speaks first. Chieftain Ma, the matter I wish to discuss with you is somewhat significant. Could you ask your men to withdraw? Chieftain Ma waves his hand dismissively. No need. These are brothers with whom I share life and death bonds. There is nothing to hide from them. Chu Xiu nods slightly. Very well, then I will speak frankly. I want to talk to the person behind you. I know that you are not bandits. Chieftain Ma bursts into laughter. What a joke! If Laozi doesn't look like a bandit with this appearance, what else could I be? Chu Xiu's eyes sharpen. You are giant bandits. The remnants of the northern land's 36 giant bandits. The moment those words leave his mouth, the entire group of bandits is shocked. Suddenly, Chieftain Ma attacks. His blade slashes down and splits the table in front of Chu Xiu into pieces, but Chu Xiu retreats at the perfect moment. Without hesitation, he draws a dagger and lunges toward Chieftain Ma's neck. Chieftain Ma steps back quickly, narrowly avoiding the strike. However, Chu Xiu advances another step, pressing the dagger firmly against Chieftain Ma's throat. In a cold, serious tone, he says, Chieftain Ma, tell your men not to get agitated. If I truly wanted to make an issue of you, even if this place isn't governed by Northern Yen, once a wanted order came down, you would have been dealt with long ago. Chieftain Ma grits his teeth. How did you know our background? Chu Xiu replies calmly. I guessed. Chieftain Ma's kung fu is orthodox, and your troops' discipline is strict. Added to that, you mentioned the word Qilian. Therefore, aside from the Qilian iron cavalry among the northern land's 36 giant bandits, I really cannot think of anything else. Chieftain Ma curses under his breath. Damn it! Turns out it was Laozi who didn't watch his mouth. But in Chu Xiu's mind, he thinks further. However, what truly allowed me to confirm their identity was the original plot. Decades ago, Northern Yan was in great chaos. The 36 giant bandits emerged out of nowhere, daring even to plunder the Northern Yan imperial court. But later, Northern Yan rose again and joined forces with a major martial arts sect, Extreme North Floating Snows City, to crush the 36 giant bandits in one fell swoop. The various leaders were either killed or crippled, never to become a significant force again. In the original plot, there was news that remnants of the Northern Land's 36 giant bandits appeared in Wei Commandery, and now, that plot has begun to move under his control. Slowly, Chu Xiu withdraws the dagger from Chieftain Ma's throat and says calmly, "Now Chieftain Ma should understand my sincerity, right?" Chieftain Ma narrows his eyes and replies, "What exactly do you want to trade with my boss? Telling me first is the same." Chu Xiu answers without hesitation, "I know the whereabouts of your Chilean Iron Cavalry's great chieftain, the red-faced heavenly king, Pang Hu. Is that information enough to trade?" The moment he hears this, Chieftain Ma's expression changes. "You really know the great chieftain's whereabouts? You aren't lying to me?" Chu Xiu says steadily, "Once you see the one behind you, the truth will naturally be revealed. Besides, once we are there, I wouldn't dare to lie." Hearing this, Chieftain Ma turns to leave. Before walking out, he says, "Fine. Then follow me. My boss is in North Shangmeng Mountain. It will take a few days to get there." A few days pass. We arrive at North Shangmeng Mountain. Chu Xiu has come to meet Chieftain Ma's superior. As they walk, Chieftain Ma explains, "After coming to Wei Commandery, my boss established a mountain stronghold here. Just in case, we built a small stronghold outside. Wait here a moment. I will go report." "Good," Chu Xiu replies calmly. Just then, another man enters. He is tall, broad-shouldered, and powerfully built. Chieftain Ma introduces him. This is Boss Han Bao, formerly one of the great chieftain's personal guards. Han Bao stares at Chu Xiu sharply. "Is it you who says you know the great chieftain's whereabouts?" "Correct," Chu Xiu answers. At the same time, he thinks inwardly, peak blood condensation realm. This person is much stronger than me. Han Bao snorts. "Cut the crap. Speak, what exactly do you want? If you demand an exorbitant price, don't blame me for getting rough." Chu Xiu remains composed. This news was intended as a greeting gift for Boss Han anyway. According to what I know, after Great Chieftain Pang, who was heavily injured by the people of the Northern Yan Imperial Court, he is currently recovering his strength in the desolate mountains of Liaodong Commandery in the north. Han Bao's eyes sharpen. "Is that true? If Boss Han doesn't believe it, you can send someone to Broken Soul Valley in Liaodong Commandery to check. There are secret codes left by Great Chieftain Pang." Inside, Chu Xiu thinks, I didn't expect these small details from the game settings to become such a big help. Han Bao gestures. "Sit. I will send someone. If we can truly find the great chieftain, I, Han Bao, will owe you this favor. Now speak, what do you want?" Chu Xiu asks calmly. "After finding great chieftain Pang Hu, what does Boss Han plan to do?" Han Bao sits back in his chair and says confidently, "Naturally, I will take the men of the stronghold to seek refuge with the great chieftain." Chu Xiu also sits down and shakes his head slightly. "That is incorrect. Great Chieftain Pang is currently resting and recuperating. Going to him now would not only be useless, but it would also increase the risk of exposure. He wouldn't allow you to follow him either. What you should do is accumulate money, provisions, and cultivation resources to prepare for his rise." Han Bao replies, "Those matters will be decided once the great chieftain is found. Speak clearly, what is your intention?" Chu Xiu says directly, "I want to cooperate with you to make money." Han Bao raises an eyebrow. "Such a good thing? Explain it in detail." Chu Xiu begins calmly. "There are many bandits in Shangmeng Mountain who frequently rob caravans and kill for money. Because of this, more and more caravans are switching to the time-consuming main roads or arranging large numbers of guards. Your business is becoming scarcer, right?" Han Bao nods. Correct. So what should be done? Chu Xiu's eyes gleam. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. If there are no rules, we will set the rules. As long as caravans hand over a portion of their wealth, they can be escorted safely across the mountain. This way, both the caravans and Boss Han benefit. Han Bao crosses his arms tightly. Then wouldn't I be making enemies of all the bandits in Shangmeng Mountain? Chu Xiu smiles faintly. One voice in the entire Shangmeng Mountain is enough. Does Boss Han lack the confidence to deal with those disorganized mobs? Han Bao suddenly laughs. Of course I have it. If not for my injuries remaining unhealed, I would have resolved that bunch of trash long ago. Chu Xiu is slightly surprised. Unexpectedly, this guy was actually a Xiantian expert before. I misjudged him, Han Bao then asks. By the way, Chu Xiu kid, you gave me such a good idea. What exactly do you want? Very simple, Chu Xiu replies. I also have a caravan in the Chu family. I hope it can enter and exit Shangmeng Mountain without obstruction. Additionally, I hope Boss Han can help me kill people. Han Bao grins. The first condition is no problem. But for the second one, wanting me, Han Bao, to act as a hired thug, just this piece of news isn't enough. Chu Xiu nods calmly. Of course. What I can give Boss Han is more than just this. I will inform you in advance about passing caravans. This way, you won't have to worry about wasted trips. Han Bao laughs loudly. That does sound pretty good. Chu Xiu adds casually. By the way, I will soon transmit news of a Chu family caravan to you, Boss Han. Consider it a greeting gift. Han Bao's expression changes. Rob your own caravan? What is the meaning of this? Chu Xiu's lips curl slightly. That is the Chu family's caravan, not my caravan. Hearing Chu Xiu's words, Han Bao breaks into a satisfied smile. Good. At the same time, he cannot help thinking to himself, when it comes to viciousness, we really can't compare to these disciples of aristocratic families. They are actually so ruthless even to their own people. Chu Xiu stands up calmly. Pleasure doing business. If there's news, I will send a carrier pigeon to you. The scene shifts. Outside Chu Xiu's residence, a carriage is being loaded with goods. Boxes and crates are packed tightly as servants move quickly. Everyone looks sharp. The merchant caravan is about to set off. Just then, Chu Xiu appears and shouts coldly. Who told you to go? A man immediately steps forward and bows. This servant is Zhang Quan, the caravan steward. Greetings, second young master. Chu Xiu looks at him indifferently. Who is in charge of this caravan right now? Zhang Quan answers respectfully. Of course, it is under your charge, second young master. Since it is under my charge, Chu Xiu continues calmly. Then who allowed you to load the cargo and set off just now? How much silver did the last batch of goods sell for? What was brought back? What is being transported in this batch? Have you ever discussed any of this with me? Zhang Quan lowers his head slightly. Second young master, please forgive me. Because you were not present, I asked for instructions from the family head before acting. Time waits for no one. Rest assured, second young master, there will absolutely be no problems with this trip. If there are any mistakes, I am at your disposal. Chu Xiu walks closer and places a hand lightly on Zhang Quan's shoulder. Steward Zhang, was it? You've done very well. I just hope you won't regret it, Zhang Quan immediately replies. Thank you for the praise, second young master. Working for the Chu family, this servant will never regret it. But inwardly, he scoffs, I've gone back and forth with the caravan countless times. What problem could there be? What is there to regret? As Chu Xiu steps aside, he says calmly, Then I wish you good luck. The caravan sets off. Chu Xiu remains standing there, watching quietly as it disappears into the distance. Then he turns to his servant. Notify Han Bao and his men of the caravan's route and schedule. Yes, the servant answers. On the road, Zhang Quan leads the caravan forward. One of the servants riding beside him whispers, Old Zhang, you've offended the second young master badly. I heard that after returning from the mining area, the second young master has changed. Zhang Quan snorted slightly. Of course I know. But don't forget, we are the third young master's people. The servant hesitates. Aren't you afraid the second young master will deal with us? Zhang Quan replies confidently. The Chu family is a great clan and must follow rules. We haven't broken any rules, so Chu Xiu can't touch us. The other servant frowned slightly. I just feel like this matter isn't that simple. Zhang Quan suddenly raises his voice. Everyone remember! If we really encounter bandits, drop the goods immediately. Lives are more important than anything. Everyone responds in agreement. Night falls. The caravan continues traveling. Zhang Quan says, walk a bit further. There's a decent-sized cave ahead. We'll rest there. But suddenly, from the shadows of the forest, figures emerge. Bandits surround them from all sides. A cold voice echoes in the night. No need to walk anymore. If you want to rest today, rest here to your heart's content. The moment Zhang Quan sees the bandits, his face turns pale. Bandits! Run! Everyone run! As soon as he shouts this, the servants jump down from the carriages and flee in panic, abandoning the goods to save their lives. But just as Zhang Quan turns to escape, a blade blocks his path. Chieftain Ma steps forward, sword raised before him. Steward Zhang, where do you think you're going? Seeing Chieftain Ma, Zhang Quan freezes in shock. You were prepared? Chieftain Ma smiles coldly. Zhang Quan, right? Young Master Chu Xiu asked me to pass you a message. His eyes gleam with killing intent. Steward Zhang, have a safe journey to the afterlife. At that moment, Zhang Quan understands everything. It was the second young master. Before he can react, Chieftain Ma attacks. His sword flashes through the darkness. Zhang Quan has no chance to defend himself. In the next instant, the blade slices cleanly across his throat. Blood sprays. Zhang Quan collapses to the ground, lifeless. Chieftain Ma withdraws his sword and orders calmly. Go. Open the cargo. Let's see what kind of greeting gift young Master Chu gave us. The scene shifts to the Chu family mansion. The second concubine's son is shouting urgently. The caravan has been robbed. All branches, please report to the council hall immediately to discuss matters. He turns to his mother and lowers his voice. Mother, do you think this matter has anything to do with Chu Xiu? Steward Zhang and the others just offended him, and then something happened. The second concubine frowns slightly. I don't know. Logically speaking, Chu Xiu shouldn't have the guts. Besides, he doesn't have the ability to hire the Shangmang mountain bandits. Before we have evidence, don't speak carelessly. Otherwise, it will make the master unhappy. Her son nods. Yes, mother. They walk quickly toward the council hall. Inside, the family head is already seated at the head position. Several servants are reporting the situation. That is the situation. They killed everyone on sight. We don't know why either. The family head waves his sleeve lightly and says in a calm, detached tone. Since that's the case, dismissed. Take this as a lesson. Be more careful next time. I am going back into seclusion. Just as everyone prepares to leave, Chu Xiu suddenly stands up. Father, right now the caravan has no leader. I am willing to lead the caravan through Shangmang Mountain once again. The moment he says this, his stepmother and stepbrother stare at him in shock. Their mouths hang open, utterly stunned. The family head frowns. Caravan transport has always been the most dangerous task. Family disciples have never led the team before. What kind of trouble are you adding? You have no experience at all. Do you want to die? Chu Xiu answers steadily. Right now, the caravan is in a state of panic. If there isn't someone of sufficient weight to lead, it will be difficult to set off. Especially the pharmacy goods, they cannot be delayed. As a direct descendant of the Chu family, I should lead the charge and boost morale. I ask Father for permission. The family head looks at him thoughtfully. I didn't expect Chu Xiu's awareness to be this high. However, the caravan indeed cannot be delayed. After a brief pause, he says, Then you go. Be careful. Chu Xiu bows slightly. Thank you for your concern, father. His stepbrother, however, thinks coldly, to actually snatch up this thankless and dangerous task. Is Chu Xiu's brain broken? The scene shifts. Under the moonlight, several servants stand in the courtyard whispering among themselves. One of them says bitterly, "Can't blame them for pointing fingers at us. This time the goods weren't saved, and quite a few people died." Another servant shivers. "Yeah, this time was too scary." Suddenly, the door swings open. Chu Xiu steps out and shouts sharply, "Pack up, everyone. The caravan is setting off again, heading to the state of Yen." The servants freeze in shock. "Second young master," one of them says nervously, "we just had an incident. No matter what, we should rest for a period of time." Another quickly adds, "Yes. Let's think of a countermeasure before leaving. What if we enter the mountain and get robbed by bandits again?" Hearing them, Chu Xiu thinks coldly, that cheap old dad really doesn't care about the Chu family's affairs. Look at how spoiled these servants have become, and he doesn't even manage them. He speaks firmly. "Rest for a while? Think of a countermeasure? What a joke. The ones who died weren't you. You didn't even suffer a scratch. What are you resting for?" The servants fall silent, but fear still lingers on their pale faces. Chu Xiu steps forward again, his voice sharper. "Did you think staying silent would solve anything? In the Chu family business, caravan treatment is the best, 10 times that of general labor, even more. Since you are afraid of death and don't want to go, there are plenty of people who do." He calls out loudly, "Gao Bei." From behind him, his servant answers immediately. "This servant is here." A faint smile appears on Chu Xiu's lips. "Go. Tell the general laborers, those who dare to risk their lives may join the caravan. Monthly pay will be at least 10 taels. If they return smoothly, 0.5% of the profit will be their reward. As for these people, go find Steward Liu for reassignment." With that, Chu Xiu turns to leave. The servants panic instantly. "Second young master. Just now I was blinded by foolishness. Please give me another chance." Another drops to his knees. "Yes. We were wrong." But Chu Xiu does not turn back. "There is only one opportunity. Those who want to stay follow me." Soon, under the cover of night, Chu Xiu and the caravan depart once more. They move through the dark forest. Suddenly, figures emerge ahead. Bandits block the road. A fat man steps forward and shouts, "Little ones, come out! Business is here! Kill the people, leave the goods!" These are Han Bao's subordinates, led by Feng Yidao. The moment the servants see the bandits, their faces turn pale. "Damn it! Again?" one of them curses. "If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have stayed." Another mutters nervously, "Yeah. I'm regretting it too. I just hope we can survive and make it back this time." But on Chu Xiu's face, there is a strange smile. In his heart, he thinks calmly, finally, it's showtime. This part begins with Chu Xiu saying to his servant Gao Bei, "Gao Bei, get the fire oil. Prepare to light it." Gao Bei immediately obeys. He lights a torch and pulls down the curtain hanging on the carriage. Chu Xiu dismounts from his horse, steps forward, and faces the bandits directly. In a firm voice he declares, "Everyone, I will not let myself be slaughtered. If you dare to use force, I will burn the goods and fight to the death. Don't dream of getting anything." Hearing this, one servant looks confused and says, "Huh, who would have thought the second young master actually had such a move?" Another servant nervously adds, "However, what if they decide to kill us even without the goods?" At that moment, a fat bandit steps forward with a smile on his face and says, "You're still a bit too tender to play this game with your grandpa. Do you really believe I would rather kill you all than take these goods?" Chu Xiu stands calmly in front of him and replies, "Why go through all this trouble? How about this, you and I compete in a duel. If I lose, I am at your disposal. If I win, you let us leave. How about it?" The bandit bursts out laughing. "A weak young master who can't even trust a chicken wants to fight me? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. One frightened servant whispers. Only the eldest young master of the Chu family has reached the blood condensation realm. Can the second young master really do this? But in the very next moment, Chu Xiu suddenly charges forward and strikes first. His sword reaches the bandit's neck in an instant. The bandit quickly ducks, easily dodging the attack. Not bad, he says. He counterattacks, and their swords clash loudly. Chu Xiu blocks the strike steadily. Then the bandit presses forward with force from his legs, pushing Chu Xiu backward. The servants are stunned. Holy crap! The second young master is amazing! Yeah! I really didn't expect this. The second young master was truly hiding his light under a bushel. Suddenly, Chu Xiu launches a fierce counterattack and knocks the sword out of the bandit's hand. The blade falls to the ground with a clang. The bandit turns and looks at his fallen sword in shock. Then he turns as if to leave. Chu Xiu raises his hands slightly and says, "You let me win." The fat bandit chuckles. All right. You guys can go. I didn't expect a young master like you to actually have some skill. Your grandpa, underestimated the enemy. When the servants realize that Chu Xiu has defeated the powerful bandit, they become extremely excited. But then Chu Xiu calls out to the bandit respectfully. "Hero, please wait." The bandit stops, slightly surprised. "What else do you want, kid?" Chu Xiu says calmly. "I don't know how many more bandits lie ahead. Therefore, I would like to offer 1,000 taels to hire you, hero, to escort us through the mountain." Hearing this, the bandit grins widely. "You kid, that's actually a pretty good idea." "Interesting." "I agree." The bandit and his men join them as escorts. The servants begin whispering among themselves. This actually seems pretty good. Why didn't we think of this before? Exactly. If we had taken the main road, it would have taken an extra month, and the cost would have been much higher than this. Another servant nods in admiration. This move by the second young master is absolutely brilliant. After that, the group safely reaches their destination. 10 days later, at the Chu family mansion, the family head is seated in the main hall while Old Chen stands before him, giving a full report. Just like that, Old Chen says respectfully. The second young master made a round trip from the Yan Kingdom in 10 days. The family head frowned slightly. This kid is too adventurous. What if the bandits hadn't responded to either soft or hard tactics? And what if that group of bandits didn't have the strength to escort them? Old Chen replies calmly. The second young master's luck is not bad. The bandits who robbed him were actually very strong. It is said that because of the second young master's incident, a new rule has been established. People can now hire escorts to pass through the mountain. Actually, all 4 young masters are very capable. If the family master were willing to give up researching that thing and personally teach them, the Chu family could definitely stand shoulder to shoulder with the Shen family. The family head's expression turns cold. Old Shen, do not speak nonsense. You know exactly what price I paid for that. I will absolutely not give up. Old Chen lowers his head and withdraws from the room. The scene shifts. In his courtyard, Chu Xiu is practicing his blade relentlessly. Sweat drips down his face as he swings again and again with fierce determination. Gao Bei stands nearby, holding a bowl of water. He watches Chu Xiu train and smiles faintly, thinking to himself. After the second young master returned from the Yan Kingdom, he has been practicing the blade desperately, forgetting to eat and sleep. He wasn't this kind of person before, was he? Meanwhile, Chu Xiu continues training, his thoughts cold and focused. In the original plot, after Chu Xiu experienced the family incident, he left Tongzhou Prefecture and entered the Jianghu, his temperament changing drastically. But I still don't know what this family incident is. Before that happens, I must step into the blood condensation realm. I need enough power to protect myself. Unbeknownst to him, someone is secretly watching from the shadows. It is his half-brother. He narrows his eyes and thinks bitterly. Chu Xiu suddenly rose up and took control of the caravan. Not only are the profits considerable, but he's also established prestige. If this continues, within a year, I will definitely lose. Just then, the second concubine enters the scene. Chu Xiu, what are you doing? She asks. Her son remains silent for a moment, then turns to her. Mother, the caravan cannot remain in Chu Xiu's hands. The second concubine sighs. You want that caravan? It's not that easy. The master will never hand it over to you. A faint smile slowly appears on Chu Xiu's face. I know father won't give it to me. But what if fourth brother wants it? Will he give it to fourth brother? The second concubine's eyes light up. That's right. The one the master dotes on most these days is Chu Xiu. That might actually work. I'll go try. A short while later, at the third wife's residence. The second concubine arrives for a visit. The third wife greets her warmly. Sister came to my place today? Why didn't you send word in advance? Her son steps forward politely. Greetings, second concubine. The second concubine smiles. We're just chatting. Why would I need to announce it in advance? By the way, Shang's shops are doing quite well, aren't they? The third wife replies modestly. Well, Shang's shops don't earn much silver. But Shang never planned to compete for the position of family master anyway, so this little income is just right. The second concubine waves her hand lightly. Sister has misunderstood. I know Shang doesn't want to fight for the position of family master. But it's still better to have a business with larger returns. Both mother and son freeze slightly when they hear that. The third wife hesitates. But the Chu family only has so much business. The shops have already been distributed. Asking for more would seem ungrateful. The second concubine smiles cunningly. I'm not asking for more, we can simply swap. She leans forward slightly. Right now, the profits of Chu Xiu's caravan have more than doubled. Hearing this, Lin Qian's eyes shine with excitement. More than doubled? The next day, the family head summons Chu Xiu. Chu Xiu, he says calmly. Your caravan has developed very well during this period. Even if you cannot become the heir, you will definitely be a pillar of the Chu family. So between you brothers, you must be harmonious and help each other. Chu Xiu lowers his head slightly. What father says is correct. But inside, his eyes turn sharp. What does he mean by this? He knows clearly what the situation between us brothers is. Harmonious? We're just short of stabbing each other face to face. The family head continues. It's good that you can think this way. I want to give Chu Xiu some experience. So I plan to swap your caravan with the shops under Chu Xiu's name. Do you agree? Inside, Chu Xiu sneers. Hee hee, sure. When the caravan was dangerous, Chu Xiu didn't go. Now that I've opened the trade route, only now are you letting him take over. This greedy behavior is really ugly. Chu Xiu glances at Lin Qian and says calmly, Since father has already made the decision, then fine. I will yield the caravan to fourth brother. The family head nods with satisfaction. I'm very glad that you are willing to agree. How about this? I'll give you another weapon shop. You are still young and lack experience. I will let Lin Qian go with you. Lin Qian immediately bows deeply. Thank you, father. Meanwhile, Chu Xiu thinks coldly. Lin Qian, one of the two strongest guest elders of the Chu family, at the blood condensation realm. This favoritism couldn't be more obvious. We are both sons. I'll just say, be careful. This gap isn't just a little bit. Lin Qian even turns to Chu Xiu. Thank you, second brother. Chu Xiu replies lightly. It's nothing. However, the trade route is rugged. Fourth brother, you'd better be careful. Inside, his thoughts turn colder. You asked for this. I hate it the most when people grab my things. The scene shifts to the caravan courtyard. Two men stand talking. Brother Lu, I heard the caravan will be under the fourth young master's management from now on. What do you think? Brother Lu sighs. Don't ask what shouldn't be asked. The second young master treats us well, but can we really go against the fourth young master? At that moment, Lin Qian walks in. Is everyone from the caravan here? Brother Lu turns and bows. Answering fourth young master, everyone is here. Good. Tell everyone to pack up. We depart tomorrow. Brother Lu hesitates. Fourth young master, we only returned yesterday. According to the rules, we rest 3 days before leaving again. Lin Qian frowns. Resting every time delays things too much. We could have made another trip to the Yen Kingdom. Listen to my orders, we depart tomorrow. Brother Lu tries again. But fourth young master, the trade route within Shangmeng Mountain is difficult. Without rest, we really can't endure it. The second young master always, shut up. Lin Qian snaps. The caravan is under my management now. And you managers stop working. I'll arrange new people. Brother Lu lowers his head, thinking bitterly, this fourth young master's way of doing things is far too domineering. The next day, Lin Qian's caravan prepares to set out. Before leaving, Lin Qian looks at Chu Xiu. Second brother, what are you going to do? Move to a restaurant to stay for a while. Chu Xiu answers calmly. Lin Qian smiles faintly. Second brother is really capable. I wonder, do you have any experience to pass on to me? Chu Xiu smiles back. The trade route is rugged. Be careful of those bandits. Once you leave Tongzhou Prefecture, the Chu family's name isn't very useful. Lin Qian snorts inwardly as he departs with the caravan. With Uncle Lin by my side, am I afraid of a few petty thieves? Behind him, Chu Xiu watches quietly. Then he turns to Gao Bei. Come with me to Shangmeng Mountain later. Gao Bei immediately lowers his head. Yes, second young master. The part begins at night as we see the Shangmeng Mountain camp. Inside the camp, Boss Han is speaking to Chu Xiu. Kid Chu Xiu, your idea wasn't bad at all. Now the entire North Shangmeng Mountain is my territory, and our profits have increased tenfold. Today we should have a good drink. We won't stop until we're completely drunk. But Chu Xiu calmly replies, There's no rush to drink, Boss Han. I came here this time because I need your help with a favor. Boss Han raises his eyebrows and says casually, Oh? Who do you want to rob and kill this time? Chu Xiu answers with a serious expression. My fourth brother. Chu Shang. Boss Han freezes in shock. His mouth remains wide open as he stares at Chu Xiu. In his mind he thinks, this Chu Xiu is truly ruthless. Twice already he has robbed and killed people from his own family, and this time the target is even his own biological brother. After a moment, Boss Han asks, All right, just like last time? Kill the leader and leave the rest alive? Chu Xiu shakes his head. Kill all the leaders. This time there is also a blood condensation realm martial artist among them, so Boss Han will have to take action personally. Then he adds calmly, Of course, my fourth brother cannot be killed. After all, he is still my biological brother. Boss Han looks at him with disbelief and thinks, He's your biological brother, yet you still want me to rob and cripple him. Chu Xiu continues. However, he has made me, his older brother, very unhappy. So just cripple him. Boss Han sighs inwardly. You might as well kill him. In a martial Dao family, being crippled is worse than death. Chu Xiu then explains. Boss Han, my fourth brother is my father's most beloved son. If he dies, North Shangmeng Mountain will never have a peaceful day again. Boss Han's eyes suddenly turn red with pride as he replies, Kid Chu Xiu, I'm not trying to slander your Chu family, but with your father's meager strength, he's simply not worth mentioning. Once my injuries heal, I would even dare challenge Shen Bai, the head of the Shen family in Tongzhou Prefecture. Chu Xiu smiles faintly and says, Boss Han's injuries haven't fully healed yet. I think it's better not to cause unnecessary trouble. Then he adds, Besides, I would also like to invite Brother Ma and his subordinates to come to Tongzhou Prefecture and help me. Rest assured, the payment in silver will definitely be generous. However, inside his mind Chu Xiu thinks seriously, right now I don't have anyone truly capable under my command. Gao Bei is loyal, but far too cowardly. Manhwa may look rough on the outside, but he's meticulous. He will definitely become a great helper. Boss Han thinks for a moment and asks, Aren't you afraid people will find out that you're colluding with bandits? Chu Xiu answers calmly, It doesn't matter. Brother Ma has only acted a few times in South Shangmeng Mountain. No one in Tongzhou Prefecture has seen him before. I'll recruit them gradually so it won't raise suspicion. Boss Han then turns to Manhwa and asks, "What do you think?" Manhwa smiles and replies, "Of course, there's no problem. I've been idling in this stronghold all day to the point of getting rusty. This is a perfect chance to stretch my limbs." Boss Han then asks Chu Xiu, "When do you plan to attack your brother's merchant caravan?" Chu Xiu answers, "Wait until their return journey. If they get robbed right after setting out, it would look too suspicious." Boss Han immediately stands up and laughs. "In that case, I'll have someone prepare a banquet. Tonight we won't return until we're drunk." This time, Chu Xiu finally nods in agreement. The next morning. Early in the morning, Chu Xiu sets out, with Manhwa following behind him. The two of them travel through a forest path toward their destination. Suddenly, they run into a fat bandit in the forest. His name is Chief Feng. Chief Feng looks at Manhwa and asks, "Manhwa, what are you dressed like that for?" Manhwa replies, "Young Master Chu needs some people on his side, so he hired us to help." "Has your side not started business yet?" Chief Feng answers, "According to young Master Chu's intelligence, a Luo family merchant caravan will be returning from the state of Yen. But we arrived a little too early." Hearing this, Chu Xiu asks, "Chief Feng, the Luo family you mentioned, is it the small Luo family from Shuangfeng town?" Chief Feng nods. "Yes, that's the one. The intelligence was provided by you, young Master Chu. Don't tell me you didn't know." Chu Xiu calmly replies, "My subordinates collected the information. I didn't personally check each report." Then he adds, "Chief Feng, I actually have another matter I'd like to ask your help with." Chief Feng immediately says respectfully, "Young Master Chu, please go ahead." Chu Xiu explains, "The Luo family currently has some items that have caught my interest. Please help me seize them. Of course, don't break the rules too much, just handle it tactfully." Chief Feng turns around and begins to leave while saying confidently, "Rest assured, young Master Chu. Just leave it to me." Seeing this, a faint smile appears on Chu Xiu's face. Inside his mind, he thinks, in the original plot, the Luo family obtained a batch of secret boxes from merchants of the state of Yen. No one expected that two extremely valuable treasures would actually be hidden inside those boxes. But the news eventually leaked, and the Luo family was wiped out by the combined forces of several surrounding families. Chu Xiu then smirks to himself. "I guess this can be considered doing a good deed. After all, without those treasures, the Luo family will never face extermination." The scene then shifts to the Luo family merchant caravan. The servant leading the caravan shouts loudly, "Be quick about it! We'll rest once we get out of Shangmeng Mountain and pass through Tongzhou Prefecture." But just then, Chief Feng suddenly appears right in their path. With a grin on his face, he slowly walks toward them while holding his massive sword. The moment the caravan members realize that bandits are blocking the road, panic spreads among them. Soon, a man steps forward. He is the steward of the Luo family merchant caravan. The steward quickly approaches Chief Feng with a respectful smile and offers him a pouch filled with silver. "Heroes of Shangmeng Mountain, here is a 10% toll fee. Please take it and enjoy some drinks, heroes." But Chief Feng suddenly slaps the pouch away and smacks the steward across the face. "You think 10% is enough to dismiss us?" he roars angrily. "You made your grandfather here wait with his men all morning. Leave all the goods behind." The steward's face turns pale with fear. Standing in front of him is Chief Feng, holding a huge sword that looks terrifying. Chief Feng glares at him and asks coldly, "So, do you still have a problem with that?" Hearing those words, everyone in the caravan becomes terrified. In their panic, they abandon all the goods and run away. After they flee, Chu Xiu and Manhwa step out from behind the bushes. Chief Feng smiles as he looks at them. "Young Master Chu, whatever items have caught your eye, just take them." Chu Xiu points towards several secret boxes and says calmly, "Chief Feng, I only want these secret boxes. The remaining goods are all yours to deal with." As he says this, Chu Xiu smiles to himself and thinks, I wonder what kind of good items I'll open this time. A short while later, the scene shifts to Chu Xiu's residence. Chu Xiu is sitting alone in his room, examining the items he obtained from the secret boxes. He picks up a book and studies it carefully. Then he murmurs to himself, Not bad, to think I actually drew the Blood Blade Sutra. He continues thinking, if I remember correctly, in the original world this cultivation technique was ranked at the 3rd transformation level. It isn't considered top tier, but it's definitely not low either. Chu Xiu flips through the pages as a cold smile forms on his face. What a wicked and ruthless blade technique. The angles of its strikes are incredibly bizarre, making them almost impossible to defend against. Nearly every move is a killing strike. An extremely demonic cultivation technique, but it perfectly suits my taste. Then he looks at another item. Thousand-leaf plume. He recalls its origin. A hidden weapon created by the Thousand Mechanisms sect, a hidden weapon sect that was second only to the Tang sect of Shu during the ancient Great Tribulation. In theory, it's a single-use hidden weapon capable of killing a Xiantian martial artist. Chu Xiu nods with satisfaction. A very good harvest. Then he mutters, I'll start practicing the Blood Blade Sutra first. 10 days later. North Shangmeng Mountain. A merchant caravan is moving along the road, carrying a large amount of goods. Leading the caravan is Chu Xiu. As he rides forward, a smug smile appears on his face. Hee. Suggesting to father that we swap merchant caravans with Chu Xiu this time turned out to be a huge profit. But suddenly, his smile disappears. Because Chief Feng has appeared in front of the caravan, blocking the road. It's clear that his plan is to rob Chu Xiu's caravan. At that moment, one of the servants quickly steps forward. Nervously smiling, he takes out several papers and says, Chief Feng, we already have the pass. Please let us go. Chief Feng takes the papers, glances at them briefly, and then snorts. Only 400 taels? Why is it so little? Then he waves his hand. Boys, go search the caravan. His eyes glow with a faint red killing intent. The servant looks shocked and hurriedly says, Chief Feng, our Chu family knows the rules. This toll fee will absolutely not be short. But Chief Feng clearly has another plan in mind. With a sly smile, he says, You don't get to dictate the rules. If you won't let us search, could there be something fishy going on? The moment Chu Xiu hears this, he becomes furious and steps forward, ready to fight. But one of the servants quickly stops him and says, Fourth young master! Don't be impulsive. This is Shangmeng Mountain. Just let them search. We haven't played any tricks anyway. Realizing the situation, Chu Xiu suppresses his anger and says coldly, Fine. Let them search. As soon as the bandits receive permission, they begin thoroughly searching the entire caravan, determined to find something suspicious. After a while, one of the bandits approaches Chief Feng and whispers something in his ear. Hearing this, Chief Feng slowly starts to smile. And you said there was nothing fishy. Your goods are worth 6,000 taels, so the toll fee should be 600 taels. The moment Chu Xiu hears this, he immediately explodes in anger. You're clearly picking a fight on purpose. What do a bunch of bandits know about prices? If you can sell these goods for 6,000 taels, then you can take all of them. Standing beside him, one of the servants turns pale and thinks nervously, Oh no. Fourth young master is far too reckless. We could have just paid an extra 200 taels to buy peace. Why provoke them like this? At the same time, Chief Feng also shouts angrily. You little brat! You're courting death. Do you think your grandfather here needs you to teach him how to do business? He raises his massive sword and declares coldly. Very well then. Today the goods stay, and the people will stay too. Hearing this, Chu Xiu turns toward a man beside him. Uncle Lin, I'll leave this to you. Upon hearing this, Uncle Lin calmly steps forward. He dismounts from his horse and walks toward Chief Feng. Then he brings his fists together respectfully and says, Making things convenient for others makes things convenient for oneself. I advise everyone to let us pass. Otherwise, blades and swords have no eyes, and by the time you regret it, it will already be too late. When Chu Xiu hears Uncle Lin speak so confidently, a satisfied smile appears on his face. He turns to the frightened servants and proudly says, "Did you see that? This is what Uncle Lin calls the demeanor of a true expert." Then he scoffs. "Why should our Chu family bow down to a group of bandits? If they don't follow the rules, we won't act like cowards either. My second brother even paid silver after winning a fight. Truly cowardly." Meanwhile, the servants standing nearby are still extremely nervous. Inside their hearts they think, this is the territory of the Shangmeng Mountain bandits. Even if we escape safely this time thanks to Lin Qian, what about next time? Lin Qian isn't invincible. Fourth young master is far too arrogant, calling second young master a coward. Clearly, the second young master's approach of using both grace and strength is far wiser. At this moment, Uncle Lin stands calmly with a confident expression, believing he can easily defeat these bandits. But suddenly, a powerful presence appears. To everyone's shock, Boss Han arrives. He walks forward slowly, dragging his massive blade across the ground. Sparks scrape against the dirt as the blade leaves a deep trail behind him. His eyes glow red with killing intent. With absolute confidence, he declares, "Well said! Blades and swords truly have no eyes." Then he smiles coldly. "So if you die here today, don't blame me for being ruthless." And with that intense confrontation about to erupt, this chapter comes to an end. See you in the next video. Until then, bye.